Well, according to an article in the Washington Post today, a leaked classified document from the Russian Foreign Ministry confirms what many have claimed Russia has been engaged in. Quote, Russia is seeking to subvert Western support for Ukraine and disrupt the domestic politics of the United States and European countries through propaganda campaigns supporting isolationist and extreme policies, end quote. Well, for those who have been listening and watching for a while, you've heard me say I'm skeptical of what is happening in Ukraine. But as I've watched the Russian propaganda machine, which, by the way, some conservatives, prominent conservative media figures, have swallowed hook, line, and sinker, being pulled all the way into Russia. Now, I have a little experience with Russia, okay? And I know they're bad actors. I've been sanctioned by Russia for speaking out about their horrible human rights and religious freedom record. Now, that was in their own country. But now reports are coming out of Ukraine that Russian propaganda are trying to distort or hide what's actually happening there. They're creating this propaganda that Ukrainians are persecuting Christians when, in fact, the reports show that they are. Now, throughout the Russian invasion of Ukraine, Russian forces have not only targeted government officials and pro-Ukrainian activists for attack and torture, but Christians, priests, pastors. According to the Institute for Religious Freedom, in addition to persecuting individual Christian pastors and believers, Russian troops have damaged or wholly destroyed at least 630 churches, prayer houses, and other religious facilities in Ukraine. While this may not fit the narrative pushed by even some conservative commentators, I've spoken with Christian leaders from Ukraine who have borne witness to Russia's ruthless and brutal methods against believers. Join me now in studio to discuss this is Pavlo Unguryan. He is a former member of the Ukrainian parliament who is currently in Washington to discuss the persecution of Christians in Ukraine. I've known Pavlo for a number of years. He's come to the States many a times prior to the war in Ukraine. Pavlo, welcome to Washington Watch.
Thank you very much, Tony. It's a great opportunity to see you.
Well, it's good to see you again. And of course, we've communicated off and on during the course of this war. But let's, I want to stop for just a moment, step back and give us a little background on what brought you here to Washington, D.C., your background, having been in the parliament there, and why you have come here to the United States.
Oh, yeah. This is a little bit long story. I was born in the Soviet Union. I was born in the evangelical family. In the Soviet Union, evangelicals was under persecutions all the time. My grandparents was under persecutions. My grandfather was a pastor. He was persecuted. And Russia, as a follower of the Soviet Union, continued this practice to kill, to persecute the Christians, especially evangelicals, everywhere inside Russia, but also in some occupied territories, like occupied territories of Ukraine. As a Baptist in my fourth generation, I understand how important is religion freedom. It's very important for us. But Russia just declared the holy war against West, against Western civilization.
Let me stop you there for just a moment, because what happened when the wall came down, areas like Ukraine that got their independence became free, there was an explosion of religious freedom, and with that explosion, the church grew dramatically, did it not?
Yeah. When the Soviet Union was collapsed, it was a great time for the evangelicals to build all the many thousand churches. Right now in Ukraine, we had more than 10,000 evangelical churches. But on the Soviet Union, it was just 1,000. And from Ukraine, it was grow also missionary ministry for all Eurasia continent. And more than 60% of Russian pastors are Ukrainian missionaries. And this is why the Kremlin regime regime so hate us.
So Ukraine has been kind of like the evangelical hotspot of Eastern Europe.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely, yes.
So what I see, as I was making reference to being sanctioned by Russia, I've been sanctioned by Russia and China for my role on the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. And we've been tracking now for over a decade Russia. There was a time when the windows were open. A lot of probably our listeners may have gone to mission trips to Russia after the wall came down. I trained some of the first military police officers in Eastern Europe after the wall came down, back in my previous role as in anti-terrorism. But those doors closed quickly, and we saw Russia, as Vladimir Putin came back to power, to begin to crack down on anything but the Russian Orthodox Church. Is that accurate?
Absolutely, yes. Unfortunately, Russian Orthodox Church is a part of the regime. It's a department of some special services of the Kremlin regime, and they weaponize it, the faith. It's like the same like in the Iran.
Right.
They weaponize the Muslim faith against Israel, against all the world. The same picture in Russia.
So what has been happening since the Russian invasion into Ukraine as it pertains to pastors, churches, religious leaders? Have they been targeting those individuals?
Oh yeah. The war was started, the first phase of war was started 10 years ago. Immediately when they invaded in the Donbass, the eastern part of Ukraine, immediately they started to target in different groups, including evangelicals. Just a week ago, it was 10 years after the 4 evangelical ministers was killed in the city of Slavyansk.
Okay, some would say, well, yeah, it's a war. People are going to get killed. That's tragic. But can you specifically say they're targeting religious leaders?
Yes, they specifically targeting for evangelicals and other independent religion groups.
There's reports that they're torturing these religious leaders.
Yes, many of them in prisons. It's not just Baptists, but also Pentecostals, Adventists, Greek Catholics there. Many of them in prison and tortures.
For what reason?
They just moved them to the Russian Orthodox Church, or they call them like American agents, and they need some secrets from America.
So they tend to see evangelicals as agents for the West?
Yes. It's not just new narrative. It was used by KGB on the Soviet time. All the time FSB, KGB, the Russians special services, they call evangelicals as American CIA agents against the Russians.
And that's carrying over into Ukraine.
Yes, absolutely. Yes, absolutely true.
So how many churches have? I mentioned there's like 630. I mean, that was an older report. I mean, are we still seeing the destruction of churches?
Oh yeah, unfortunately, every day it's continued. Just 3 days ago, the beautiful church in the Chasov Yar city was just bombed in the Kharkiv region. A few weeks ago, it was the missile strike in the city of Kupiansk, and they killed the pastors there, the Pentecostal church, and destroyed absolutely church building.
Now, there's evidence has emerged that some of these missiles are coming from Iran. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, we saw this evil empire, as a President Reagan tell, evil empire united together, like Northern Korea, Iran, and Russia together. Northern Korea sent ballistic missiles and the artillery weapon for the Russia, but Iran sent them thousand drones, called name Shahed, and every single night, I'm living there. I'm a witness of that. Every single night, Iranian drones have a massive attacks in the Ukraine, and the Iranians trained themselves last 2 years how to operate these drones in the real battlefield against future attack against Israel, for the future attack in Israel. And it's coming. Just happened a few days ago in the Holy Land of Israel.
Now, Pavlo, you served in the parliament. You're not in the parliament right now, but you served in the Ukrainian parliament. There is, there's concern here in the United States among conservatives. Again, I put this with the backdrop of the propaganda that has been identified coming from Russia, that they're trying to elevate these voices of isolation. And I would describe myself, quite frankly, as a rational isolationist. I don't believe America should get involved in everything, but I do think this is a very strategic and important war that is unfolding. Because if Vladimir Putin rolls through Ukraine, he's not going to stop there.
Absolutely. Next, it will be Romania, Moldova, or Baltic countries, or Poland. We right now like a wall of security. Actually, it's our role long time, but first of all, in this time.
You have said to me that this is a spiritual war.
Yes. Yes.
Explain that.
Yes, the spiritual reasons of this war is because the Ukraine, it's the largest evangelical group in the European continent. Ukraine became in Christianity 1,036 years ago when the King Vladimir, our king, was baptized. All the nation became in Christianity, and from that ancient times, we started to be the largest missionary group in this territory of Eurasia, territory of darkness. When the Soviet Union was collapsed, evangelicals just sent 1,000 missionaries everywhere in Russia and Central Asia, Caucasia, Middle East, Northern Africa, but especially Russia and Central Asia countries. And we absolutely understand how evil hates Ukraine, because no one former Soviet republic do not have the same numbers of evangelicals and Christians. Just Baptists, just one denomination, have more than 50 seminaries to preparing to train the missionaries for this mission work.
So do you think that looking at when you say spiritual battle, it's something I talk about here often, is that there is a realm of the spiritual beyond the physical that we see. There's a physical war going there, but there's a spiritual war that is going on as well. Do you think speak to this issue of these allegations of corruption, and that's why there are some in Congress that do not want to send any more money to Ukraine. Is that real, or is that kind of part of the spiritual battle to cloud the issue?
Yeah, we have problem with corruption. It's true, because country which was under atheistic communistic regime more than 70 years, that's seen inside us, and this is one of the part of the spiritual battle against that evil, against corruption, and this is a role of the churches in Ukraine to stand against corruption, and we try to do that. It's needed some time. It's needed some prayer and fasting, but we try to fight against corruption also. Also, one more our spiritual field. It's to be Bible Belt for the European continent, such a liberal continent,
right.
Pro-family, pro-life issues. As you know, I'm a conservative movement executive secretary. It's one more spiritual reason for this time.
So you see the vision of Ukraine as being a kind of a Bible Belt.
Absolutely, yes. The Ukraine is in the top 10 religious countries in the European continent, and together with the Western European Christian nations, we like Bible Belt for the liberal European continent.
We're almost out of time, Pavlo. What would you ask of Christians in America, the churches in America, to be thinking and doing as it pertains to our brothers and sisters like you in Ukraine?
First of all, we would like to say thank you for your prayers and supporting, because many churches pray and support us for the humanitarian urgent needs. Second, we're asking your prayers and supporting, especially for this week, appropriation bill. Ask your congressmen to help us. Next, let's create strategic partnership between Christians, evangelicals, conservatives in U.S. and Christians and conservatives in Ukraine to do our missionary ministry, global missionary ministry, and to protect our values.
30 seconds, Pavlo. What happens if the United States does not continue its aggressive support of Ukraine?
It will be Russians come and kill us, everybody of us. It will be a big tragedy in the center of Europe. I hope God can protect us, but we are looking for the protection from His angels. And I have this book, and it's a real stories here how God physically protect us many times, included my city, and I am a witness how God created this storm in the Black Sea and stop Russian Navy fleet.
Pavlo, I want to thank you for your courage.
Thank you.
Thank you for being here, and we will pray and we will stand with you.
Thank you, brother.